हरि ओम्। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। ॐ
ईश्वरार्पितं नेच्छया कृतं चित्तशोधकं मुक्तिसाधकं कार्यवाङ्मनः कार्यमुत्तमं पूजनं जपः चिन्तनं क्रमात् जगत ईशजी युक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिभृत् देवपूजनम् उत्तमस्तमादुच्यमन्दतः चित्तजं जपध्यानमुत्तमम् आज्यधारया स्तोत्रशासनम् सरलचिन्तनं विरलतः परं भेदभावनात् सोऽहमित्यसौ भावनाविदा पावनीमता भावशून्य सद्भावसुस्थिति भावनाबलात् भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मनः स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगस्य निश्चितं वायुरोदनालीयते मनः ज्ञानपक्षिवरोदसाधनं चित्तवायवाचित्क्रियायुताः शाखयोर्मयी शक्तिमूलका लयविनाशने उभयतोन्मुखे लयगतं पुनः भवति नोऽमृतम् प्राणबन्धनालीनमानसम् एकचिन्तनान्नस्तमानसोत्कृष्टयोगिनः कृत्यमस्ति किं स्वस्ति किं यतः दृश्यमारितं दृष्टनात्मना चित्तदर्शनं तत्त्वदर्शनं मानसन्तु किं मार्गणे कृते नैव मानसं मार्ग आर्जवात् वृत्तिमाश्रिताः वृत्तयो मनो विद्यहं मनः भवति चिन्मतः अयि पतत्यहम् अहमिनाशमाप्यहन्तया स्फुरति हृत्स्वयं इदमहं पुनः भिक्यमन्वहम्
अहमिलीनकेऽप्यलय सत्तया विग्रहेन्द्रिय प्राणधीतमा तज्जडं ह्यसत् चित्क्वरेतरा सत्तया हि चेच्चित्तयाम्यहम् ईशजीवयो देशनीभिता सत्स्वभावजो वस्तु केवलम् एषमानता आत्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनम् स्वात्मरूपतः आत्मदं स्तुति आत्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्भयात् आत्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्षिता अज्ञानहीन चिज्ञानम् अस्ति किं ज्ञातुमन्तरम् किं स्वरूपम् इत्यात्मदर्शने पूर्णचित्सुखम् मन्दमुक्त्यतीतं परं मघम् विन्दतीह जीवस्तुदैविकः अहमपेतकं निजविभानगम् महदिदं तपो रमणवागियम् अहमपेतकं निजविभानगम् महदिदं तपो रमणवागियम् विग्रहेन्द्रियः प्राणधीतमा. Correct. This was what we were seeing. Vigrahendriya pranadhitama nashame. Correct. Tajjadam hyasat. Vigrahendriya pranadhitama nahameka sat tajjadam hyasat. Okay. अन्नमय प्राणमय मनोमय विज्ञानमय आनंदमय कोशः अहम एकं सत् तर्हि येषां कोशाणां जडं हि असत्. Is it clear? These koshas are asat and I am the only sat who is enlivening these koshas. Aham ekam sat. Is it clear? Huh? No. Then we go to the next one. Now, after very clearly moving from this idam pada vritti, aham pada vritti, from aham pada vritti to chit, the chidabhasa to chit, and then saying that I am that sat which is enlivening all the koshas. Now, this is where Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta comes into picture. Till this, other Vedanta also accepts. Advaita Vedanta now very clearly starts looking at Aikyam. Okay. Before Aikyam, there is one more shloka. Sattvabhasika Chitkvavetara Sattayahi Chit Chittayamyaham. Now, the moment we say this Atma has got Tatastha Lakshanam and Swarupa Lakshanam, there is a very big possibility of giving this Lakshanam as property to Atma. So, the moment you do this property to Atma, then what have you done? You have converted this Atma, which is the subject, into an object. Correct? Properties can be there for anything which is objectified. The subject cannot have these properties. Your subject is what it is. So the moment you have now said Sat and Chit, these two aspects have been bought. Now the question comes is, are these two the properties of Atma? So he has a unique way, rather than looking at it as properties, he says, Sattva Bhasika. Bhasa. What is Bhasa? Abhasa. To experience. Okay. Sattva Bhasika. Bhasika means what? One that can make you experience of this Sattva. You are saying Atma is Sat. That is very clear, because that Atma Sat is enlivening through the Panchakoshas. We have told that. Now, what makes you experience this Sat? Tell me, if you are listening to this class, what is making you listen to this class?
Desire.
No.
Desire.
You are at Atma level. Where is the desire and all through all that? We are referring to Atma now. What is enlivening your ability to hear, by which you are hearing it and say, I heard? First Chidabhasa, then we can break Chidabhasa as Chit also. First you will say the RC, I, the individuality, is making me hear this. And then you will say that this individuality is also a reflected one, because there is an original one which is called. Okay. Now, we have said this original is Sat. Okay. If the Sat is to enliven all the Panchakoshas, what is it that which can make me knowledgeable about this Sat or experience this Sat? What is that which makes you experience this class? My consciousness. Yes or no? Correct? What is consciousness? Chit. So who is making me aware of this Sat? Can it be Chit? Is the question. If I am that Sat which is enlivening all the koshas, who is making me aware that I am that Sat? For that I should have a Chit. Correct? What will happen? If the Chit is making me aware that I am that Sat, then Sat depends on Chit. Sat becomes the object, Chit becomes the subject. Are you able to get this problem now? Because that is the way. See, so that you should not wrongly understand, he is putting this Sattva Bhasika. What is this which is making me sentient about that I, that Sat existence? Can it be Chit? Is the question he is asking. Because rest of the things I am aware only from Chit. Anywhere there is life, or there is a knowledge, or if there is a sentiency, you never call it Sat, you call it Chit. Right? I am conscious of this thing, I am conscious of that thing, so that consciousness becomes an integral part of knowledge. That is why Chit Kim, Jnana Swarupaha is very clearly defined in Tattva Bodha. Correct? So now, is this Chit making me aware that I am Sat? If that is so, is it possible? Is the question he is asking. If you by mistake do that, that means what happens? Sat becomes a property of Chit. Sat becomes a property of Atma, Sat becomes a property of Chit. Okay? And that mistake is possible because all Anatma, we see it through a subject-object relationship. But understanding the subject, if you objectify it, you have completely misunderstood the concept there. You can never, the subject can never be objectified. That is why it is called the subject. If you objectify that, for example, we said aham from idam to aham. So aham becomes a subject for idam. Then what did we do? We said that ahami nashava, this aham also can be objectified because it's a reflected one, there is an original. Now, if I say that I need a chit to understand this original that I exist, then you have objectified the subject, which defeats the purpose. Is that can never happen because existence and consciousness, see, he is bringing a relationship between these two. Existence and consciousness are terms used only for the same thing with different reference. When you see anatma, when you refer to anatma, that which is enlivening the anatma, you call it as sat. The table is here. The watch is there. Okay. So that anatma, for its existence, what enlivens that Atma Swarupa which is enlivening that anatma is what you call it as Sat. Correct? And whatever enlivens the Atma Swarupa is called Chit. When do you call it as Sat and Chit? Whenever you want to talk of inanimate matter, you will always call it as Sat. A stone, Sat. Whenever you want to refer to a living matter, you will never call existence. You will always talk of consciousness. Are you able to understand? It is the same thing. Because sentiency, for sentiency we use the word Chit. For insentient object, it exists. So for existence, you use Sat. Same thing only. Like, I am a grandfather, I am a grandson, I am a father, I am a son. All I am the same. But with that reference, I give it a different name, that's all. So, when it is referred to an inanimate, it is existence. And when it is referred to animate, living, sentient things, it becomes Chit. Same thing. So now he is asking that can a Chit, because the moment I say I, the Atma, I am aware of it, who bought that awareness? Can it be Chit? And the answer is no. Can the Chit make me understand who am I? See, for me to know that I exist, do I need sentiency for it? Even without sentiency, I know I exist because that's a truth, that's a fact. I don't need a Chit to tell me. That is why he says Sat and Chit are the same. Sattayahi Chit. Sat itself is Chit. And what are these two? Sat and Chit is Aham only, nothing else. Another name for Aham, you call it as Sat and Chit. Only with the reference it changes. When I refer aham with inanimate, I call sat. When I refer aham with animate, I call it chit. And when it comes to me, I never use sat and chit. I call aham. That's all. Sattaya hi chit, chittayam yaham. Are you able to see how he has nicely connected it? By which he has given three names for the subject and not objectified any one of them or given it as an attribute or an adjective to Atma or a property to Atma. Are we able to understand? It's a subtle topic. The way he goes is very sharp and very fast. Huh? In 30 shlokas, if the depth of this has to be given like this, that too with very crisp words, he is undoubtedly, that is why his name is Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. Only Bhagavan can do it. Absolutely crisp. And the way every level is dissecting and going subtler and cleaning it off. Just see. Okay, so Sattaya hi chit chittayamyaham. Can the chit bhasika sat to me? Is it possible? No. Why? Sat itself is chit and that chit itself is me. Is this clear? Okay. Now comes that Vedant, Advaita Vedantic aspect of it he is bringing. Till now, what is he brought? Aham. Aham Satchidanandaha, Atma Satchidanandaha. Yes or no? He has come to Atma is Satchit, not even Ananda. He has only brought Atma, Satchit, that's all. Then you can say that my Atma Satchit, your Atma Satchit, Bhagavan's Atma Satchit, many Atmas. Correct? That is what he is going to clarify now. The moment he takes a representative of the rest, I know I am there, but the rest together is a subset of what? Ishvara. Because from Ishvara only everything is there. I am also there from Ishvara only, but I consider myself as separate. So the rest can be collated and called Ishvara now. Because although I am not different, but I have chosen to call myself different than Ishvara. Correct? Because I have taken such a standpoint and I know I am that Satchit Atma, he says, now look at what is Ishvara. Isha Jiva Yoho. Between Isha and Jiva. Isha is Paramatma, Jiva is Jivatma. Isha Jiva Yoho. Between Jivatma and Paramatma. Vesha Dhi Abhida. Vesha Dhi Bhida. Dhi. Use your buddhi. Bhida is different. What? Vesha. Vesha means what? What is Vesha? If I say, आपने क्या वेशभूषा पहना है, आपने क्या वेशभूषा पहना है, अलग अलग उपाधि, dresses. So, Isha and Jiva, with Jivatma and Paramatma, what is the difference? Vesha, Bhida. The only Vesha is different. Okay, so externally they look different, which means internally they are not different. Sat Swabhavataha Vastu Kevalam. What is Kevalam? What is Kevalam? In Hindi you use this word Keval.
Only.
Only. Nothing other than. nothing but. Only has got one meaning. Keval has got nothing but. That means it is actually making it very, very strong. Don't even look at an exception there. Okay. And from Keval only Kaivalya comes. So Kevala is only one. What? Swabhavataha Sateva. Paramatma and Jivatma, the Vesha Bhusha is different, but intrinsically both are, don't say one, both are not different. Both are not two. The moment you say both are not two, both are non-dual, Advitiya, telling it is one and telling it that it is not two or not different has a big difference in it. One is a very emphatic statement. It's a bold statement. Advitiya. Okay. Kevalam, that is why that word Kevala when you use, he says, which is nothing other than Sat Swabhavataha. By nature, by the intrinsic, it is not any other thing. That means it is the same thing. Are you able to get this? Where did it come? You remember this? Tvampada Lakshyartha, Tatpada Lakshyartha. Tattva touch that very clearly. Tvampada Vachyartha, where the student makes a difference and he has a question now. How can I and that Ishvara be the same? He says, don't go by the Vachyartha, go by the Lakshyartha. So, Swabhavataha Sat. By Lakshyartha, Vastu Bhida. Vesha Bhida, sorry. Vastu Kevalam Abhida Sat. Advitiya Sat. Is it clear? That means the OC getting reflected through my RM, which has got deficiency, gives one RC to me, which is my individuality, which I call it as Jivatma. The same OC being reflected through that RM which doesn't have any deficiency, that without any deficiency, all encompassing RC is called Param Atma. If you remove the RM, my RM and Ishvara's RM, that is my Prakriti by which I am made, and that Prakriti by which Ishvara is made, Vastu Kevalam Advitiya Sadeva. Sat Eva Sadeva. It is nothing other than that non-dual Sat alone and nothing else. Is it clear? And there is a Mahavakyam now. Tattvamasi, when you say Aham Brahmasmi, it's a Mahavakyam. Isha Jivayoho Veshadibhida. Upanishads also bring it exactly that way. Okay. Purvam devebhyo amritasya nabhahi yo ma dadati sagideva ma vahamannamanna madantamadbi aham vishwam bhuvanamabhya bhavam suvarna jyoti. No. Yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha anandam brahmano vidvan न बिभेति कुतश्च नेति एतगं हवावन तपति किमहं साधुना कर्मं किमहं पापमकर्वमिति स एवं विद्वानेते आत्मानग्स्पृणते उपेह्ये वैश नो नॉट दैट असद्वा इदमग्रासीत् ततो वै सदजायत तदात्मानग् स्वयमकुरुत तस्मात् तत्सुकृतमुच्यत इति यद्वै तत्सुकृतं रसो वै सः रसगृह्येवायं लब्ध्वानन्दी भवति को ह्येवान्यात् कः प्राण्यात् यदेष आकाशानन्दो न स्यात् येष ह्येवानन्द याति यथा ह्येवैष एतस्मिन्न दृश्येनात्मे निरुक्ते निलयने भयं प्रतिष्ठां विन्दते अतसो भयं गतो भवति यथा अत तस्य भयं भवति तत्येवं भीषास्माद्वातः पवते. What happened? असावादित्यः, it will come. स एकः स य एवं विद् अस्मान् लोकात् प्रेत्य एत correct. भीषास्माद्वातः at the end it is coming. स एको ब्रह्मण आनन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य च कामः तस्य स यश्चायं पुरुषे सः च अयं पुरुषे यश्च असौ आदित्ये. That Purusha is the same which is that Aditya. Sa ekaha. They are no two different. Saya evam vid. Understand that clearly. Okay. Again, it is very clearly referring to Mahavakya. Sa ekaha. Okay. So, very clearly, Isha Jivayoho Vesha धी भिदा स्वभावतः सदैव केवलम एक वस्तु. It is a single one undivisible non-dual singularity which is present, which you can call it as Jiva or you can call it as Parama based on what Bhusha you put. It is in short our child playing a fancy dress competition. एक ड्रेस डालेगा तो तुम उसको वैसा बुलाओगे, दूसरा ड्रेस डालेगा तो दूसरा तरह. बच्चा तो वही है. Are you able to get that? That's exactly the concept where he is now bringing that Sat is the same. Both are the same existence. Okay. Now, having clarified this, he says, Vesha Hanataha. The moment you remove this operating medium, for micro the Jiva and macro the Parama, if you remove that operating medium RM, Swatma Darshanam, Swa Atma Darshanam, you see yourself. Okay. Swa Atma Darshanam. Now what is Atma Darshanam? That is same as Isha Darshanam. And both are what? Swatma Rupataha. This Ishvara is also a vision. Myself is also a vision. Both are primarily Atma Rupaha, is the self and nothing else. So in these two verses, he brings that non-dual, that is Aham Brahma Asmi. He connects the Atma being one, the microcosm and the macrocosm, the gift wrapper is making the difference. Okay, अंदर एक ही चीज है, लेकिन वो गिफ्ट रैपिंग्स का वजह से हम दोनों को अलग देखते हैं. Is it clear? Okay. Then what does he say? Atma samstitihi swatma darshanam. Atma nirdvaya atma nishtata. Says Atma nirdvaya. Nirdvaya is advaya. Not being two is equal to always one and the same at all times. Since Atma is nirdvaya, That person who is Atma Samsthitihi, established in oneself, abiding on his own self, Swatma Darshanam, he sees that just by fixing himself on self. Because this Atma and Ishvara are Nirdvaya, correct? Brahman and Atma are Nirdvaya. By seeing himself, he sees the Atma. That means there is no need for an Ishvara. Ishvara gets dissolved. Please understand here. Correct? Because you are actually seeing in Ishvara also yourself. You are seeing you also in yourself only. So you don't need an Ishvara. Okay. So Atma Nirdvaya Swatma Darshanam. Because there is only one single Atma, and that person who has that Nishtha, who is completely established in it, will always see himself in himself. By making such a statement, what is he doing? Aham, aham, iti sakshat. There is nothing else other than that. He has completely now ruled out any possibility. Don't go to any person, don't go to Ishvara, don't go to any inanimate, animate, nothing. It is only you. Correct? To come, these levels are very difficult to actually even put it in words. Aham Brahmasmi in a very, very gross level we have told and made you understand. But look at the subtlety in which he is ensuring that such a mistake can never happen now. One is Chit and Sat. Second is Jivatma Paramatma. If Jivatma and Paramatma are no two different, then why do you want to see something on someone? You see yourself, that is everything. Now what is Atma Darshanam? Atma Darshanam, because what happens is, the moment you use a word, the problem in such a situation is, the moment you use a word, you have to use a verb. Please understand this. Huh? If you have to bring this, if you have to communicate, unless you bring a verb, you cannot communicate. Okay, like see yourself in yourself. There is a verb sitting there. Okay, but the moment you bring a verb, there is a subject object. This is the biggest problem of a language, because communication gets hampered because of the language now. So he says, Atma Darshanam, don't wait for an Atma experience. Atma experience is not like a shock. People say that to make you go one step, Bhagwan 10 step aayega, and suddenly both will come and bang each other. Aisa kuch nahi hai. So Atma Darshanam, when am I going to experience my Atma? When am I going to experience my Atma, if you ask? Because experience means objectified. What is Darshanam? To see. Atma Darshanam means see yourself. That means experience. That means objectify. Now there is a problem. So he clarifies, it is nothing but Atma Nishtata. Being established in that itself is seeing yourself. Okay. It is saying Brahmanishtha Brahmaiva Bhavati. One who has understood Brahman is Brahman himself. It looks very paradoxical. Huh? One who has understood Brahman. That means Brahman is something different than me. That is why I need to understand. If it is something different than me and if I have to understand, then you say that what is understood is you yourself. समझ में आ रहा है कहाँ पे confusion हो सकता है? So to remove that possibility of using a word by which wrongly it can mean a verb, by which you are objectifying the subject, he is clarifying it, saying that Atma Darshanam is nothing but Atma Nishtha. Swatma Darshanam is Swatma Nishtha. Being established in that is equal to that Darshanam. समझ में आ रहा है? Being in Kailash means what? Going to Kailash and being there. Here there is no going. बोलिए या.
Sir, this is we say Triputi of knower, knowledge and known.
नहीं है ना? किधर है त्रिपुटी? Do you need a Triputi to know you? It is not something new which has come. You already have it. That's what he is going to say now. So when I say that I have now known myself, there is nothing new which has come. Then what has happened? My ignorance called knowing myself has got removed. So my original knowledge is now shining by itself. That is what is indirectly told that I have become knowledgeable. I always had this knowledge. Who does not have knowledge about themselves? Correct? But उसमें का error निकालने का वजह से the correct knowledge is now there, and being in that correct knowledge is called Atmanishta. So there is no new knowledge coming at all. So Triputi can never come here because now we are only talking of subject, and that is why again and again he brings the point, don't objectify it. Either as Sat and Chit, either as Jivatma and Paramatma, including Atma Darshanam is Atma Nishtata, don't objectify it. In three ways he has told that you are at the subject, don't objectify it by mistake also. Are you getting it? That is his purpose of telling so many times the same thing. Because we are used to objectifying everything. That is natural for us. Okay. Now, then the 27th shloka, he says, Jnana Varjita. See, now he is giving the clarity. Jnana Varjita, Ajnana Hina Chit. Jnatam Asti Kim Jnatumantaram. He says, Ajnana Hina Chit. That Chit doesn't have any Ajnana at all. That Chit is all omnipotent, omnipresent. Omnipresent is existence. Omnipotent, omniscient. Omniscient is Chit. Okay. Says that Chit is Ajnana Hina. It never has Ajnana at all. That Jnana, Ajnana and all comes to only Anatma. For Atma there is no Ajnana, there is no Jnana. Both are not there. It is ever Jnana. That is why it is Jnana embodiment. That is why it is called Chit. Okay. It is never ignorant. Jnana Varjita. That means there is no arrival of Jnanam. For this Atma, because it is not ignorant, where is the question of knowledge has come to the Atma? The Atma is ever knowledgeable. Then where did this knowledge come? My mind had an Ajnanam because of its habit. My mind has an Ajnanam because of the habit, and I broke that habit to break my mind. The Atma is the way it is, ever knowledgeable and does not need any knowledge to come at all. That is why it is Chit. In that Chit is only giving knowledge through Chidabhasa to everything. Right? If I am saying you are sentient, it is my sentiency which is coming out of my eyes to see you that you are sentient. So it is knowledgeable about everything. It is knowledgeable about itself. Where is the question of Jnana Varjita for knowledge to come now to it? Okay. So he says, Ajnana Hina Chit. There is no jnana varjita. Jnanam asti. It is always the knowledge embodied. Okay. Kim antaram? Jnanam asti. Is there a second knower? Where is the possibility? See, if I am saying that I have become knowledgeable, that means it is ignorant. There has to be another chit. So every time he is saying that there is no second, then everything is here only. The knowledge is also here. So Sat is also here, existence is also here, the knowledge is also here. Only I am not aware. So the question is not me being aware or not, me owning up my true nature. I have never owned up my true nature, that is the problem. And the day I own my true nature, I call that indirectly that I got the knowledge. You never got any knowledge. You dropped the improper ownership, by which the true ownership automatically is there. Because anytime you tell anything that I got the true ownership, you have objectified it. Think. कुछ भी मुंह से निकालेगा तो आत्मा gets objectified. That is the biggest problem. That is why the acharyas and they say mauna vyakhya. There is no word. Mauna vyakhya. Vyakhya is explanation. Mauna, I have no words. Mauna vyakhya, you have to understand it by yourself. Okay? Right. Kim antaram jnatum. So to know the Atma, there should be another Atma, which means that is not possible. That means Ajnana Hina iti chit. The chit is always Ajnana Hina. It has always got the full Jnanam. In case you say that now that Atma has become knowledgeable, there has to be another sentient object which is making it, or subject which is making it knowledgeable. So don't even talk about it. First is existence. He said, you need a chit. If you say, I need a chit to call this Sat, you're making a mistake. Now he says, I need a chit to call this Chit. Again, you're making a mistake. See, after coming to that level, how much is breaking up. You just see the way. We can't even imagine what errors we can make here. It looks very confusing. बोलेंगे ये क्यों इतना सब, मतलब जो सिंपल चीज को इतना क्यों कॉम्प्लिकेट कर रहा है ये भाई साहब, इसे काम नहीं है क्या? 5 श्लोक पहले ही खत्म कर सकता था. नो, many books are written on this last 5 shlokas only, because that is where the error comes. So far as there is a subject and object, na, it's very easy. The moment you come to the subject, by error we will start objectifying it, and that is why you need a lot of that mananam. That only it is required. What are the different ways which we can make a mistake? He is purely bringing that and giving us a logical explanation that you can't do that. Okay, right. Now let us go to the next one. Kim Swarupam iti Atmadarshane. Now see, the Swarupa Lakshanams, how many are there for Atma? How many are there for Atma? Swarupa Lakshanam. Correct. 3 Swarupa Lakshanams. Correct. He has talked about Sat and Chit. Has he touched Ananda anywhere? So it will be incomplete if he doesn't talk about it. So that then he is giving a scope for us to make an error there. So he is now bringing Ananda. What he says, Kim Swarupam iti Atma Darshane. That I have understood this Atma. When you inquire what is its actual nature, Kim Swarupam, when I say I understand this Atma, what is this Atma? What is its nature? He says, Avyaya abhava purna chit sukham. Avyaya means what? What is vyaya? Vyaya. Vyaye krite vardhata eva nityam. Vyaya. To give off. To go. Avyaya. Vyaya means death. Avyaya means what? Huh? Avyaya. Deathless. Okay. What is bhu? We are all called bhuta. What is bhu? What is bhuta? Born here. Born in the bhu is bhuta. वो हिंदी वाला भूत नहीं है. Bhuta is born here. Bhuta means past, who have all been born here. Correct? So, abhut, abhava is what? Never will be born. So, avyaya will never die. Abhava will never be born. What is Atma Swarupa? That which never dies and which will never be born. That means it is ever existing at all time. Kalatrayepi tishtati iti sat. Actually it fits there. He is bringing it for Ananda. How he is connecting it, just see. Okay. Kim Swarupam Atma Darshane iti Avyaya Abhava. And what is it? Purna Chit Sukham. So Avyaya Abhava is existence. Chit is, Purna Chit is limitless consciousness. All pervading consciousness. Avyaya Abhava is what? Kalatrayepi tishtati iti sat. Purna Chit means what? Limitless and Jnana Swarupaha. And last is what? Ananda Kim Sukha Swarupaha. That is why he says Purna Chit Sukham. Is it clear? Why do we call it Sukha Swarupam? Why do we call this Atma as Sukha Swarupam, Ananda? By nature, it is Ananta, limitless, that is why Purna. And Sukha Swarupam, it is embodiment of bliss, contentment. It is that. How do we know? From that infinite Ananda, whenever there is any material which comes in front of us, which gives us so-called temporary happiness, the happiness doesn't come from the material which is there. It is my Ananda Swarupa, Purna Ananda Swarupa getting reflected through the material back to me. Laddu agar samne hai to my Ananda happiness, which is my intrinsic nature, intrinsically I am that embodied happiness, gets reflected through the laddu back to me. And I say, I enjoyed the laddu. So the laddu did not give me happiness. Laddu only became a medium to reflect my own happiness back to me. समझ में आ रहा है? Because if laddu had the happiness, whoever has laddu should be happy. But that is not the case. Someone who does not like sweet at all, तो उसको लड्डू देगा तो happiness will not be there. What will that person do? अब जिसको लड्डू पसंद नहीं है उसको आप लड्डू देते हो, what will that person do? What will that person do? Hey, इतना क्या हो? It is not a rocket science question I am asking.
He will not be happy.
So what he will do? एक छोटा बच्चे को जिसको लड्डू पसंद है आप लड्डू दो, क्या करेगा?
He will not eat.
What will he do? He will not eat, it is okay, but what will the child or what will that person do?
Give it to someone else.
Move it away.
Reject.
Correct? Why? Why? Because the same laddu is becoming a biggest, what do you call, एक ये बोलते हैं ना, stopper, a showstopper for his ananda being reflecting. समझ में आ रहा है? See, my ananda has to get reflected back to me. I should be happy. This laddu is actually a showstopper to reflect my ananda. So what do I do? Move the laddu away so that my ananda gets reflected by something else. But I am embodiment of ananda and it will get reflected to me. I will always ensure. इसके लिए आपको कोई भी चीज पसंद नहीं तो आप उससे हट जाते हो so that your ananda continues to reflect back to you. Both the ways it works. अगर पसंद है then that is an enabler. अगर पसंद नहीं है means what? That is a disabler for ananda to get reflected, so you move it away. समझ में आ रहा है?
यही तो है फिर. If you don't get आनंद तो उसका opposite will be दुख.
But what is dukkha? Showstopper of ananda is called dukkha. I have given another name to it. What is darkness? Absence of light is darkness. There is no new entity called darkness. I am always ananda. Either ananda reflects through a material, I am happy with it. That is why I want it to be there. If that is not reflecting that happiness back to me, I know that happiness, I am that happiness and I want it to reflect. And if that is going to be a showstopper, I move it away. So that something else will reflect back and I want to experience my own ananda at all time. Think, see the way that logic is going. हम कभी भी ऑब्जेक्ट से सब्जेक्ट को देख रहे हैं ना. Here we have now turned everything looking through the subject. And if the object becomes an impediment to reflect the subject back, I move the object and still restore my ananda. If a person commits suicide, is it absolutely ananda or dukkha? The reason the person commits suicide is, at given all situations, this complete body is only reflecting or stopping my ananda coming to me. I get rid of this body because I want that ananda. Think, that is the reality. For ananda, you will go to any level because I am ananda embodiment. Isn't this a very different way of looking at our own happiness? What is this happiness? Are we seekers of happiness or are we enjoyers of the embodied Ananda which is within me? I want to keep on enjoying. That is why the Upanishad says, Raso Vaisaha Rasagyevayalabdvanandi Bhavati. If you want to enjoy something, you will put in the mouth and keep on getting that juice of it. This Ananda is like that. Rasagyevaya labdva anandi bhavati. I want to always keeping on enjoying my own Ananda again and again, again and again. It has to get reflected back to me. All my likes are Ananda enablers. All my dislikes are Ananda opposers. समझ में आ रहा है अभी? That is why I want all these dislikes to be out and all the likes to come in. उसके लिए मैं कुछ भी कोई भी हद तक जाने को तैयार हूं. Here सत्य और चित नहीं है. In Vyavahara, Ananda is the one which is there very actively. Our Vyavahara is Ananda Pradhana. Satchit is not required at all, na, because it is absolutely given. I exist and I am conscious is given. Na? There is no fight on that. But my Ananda Swarupa is always being challenged. My fight in this life is only to always have that being an embodiment of Ananda. That is why sages and acharyas, they give Ananda, Paramarthananda. Ananda is the end. Swami, I am the owner, Ananda. They bring that. From the name itself, I need to own that Ananda which I have. Are you able to get this? Okay. So, I thought I would complete, but doesn't matter. More shlokas are there, and that we will complete it in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Dhanyavada. Shubharatri.
धन्यवाद सर.
धन्यवाद.